7, 8, and 9, we're using trigonometric ratios to find an angle measure in a right triangle. So again, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. And on these ones, we're going to end up finding the degree measure, and so we're going to have to use the inverse of each of these. Some books, they will do this, inverse sine. Sometimes they call it the arc sine. They mean the same thing. So the inverse tangent or arc tangent are the same thing. If you look at your calculator, above the sine, cosine, and tangent in yellow, you will see this inverse sine, sine to the -1, inverse cosine, and inverse tangent or arc sine, arc cosine, and arc tangent. So if you see this word, means the same thing as using this. So on our calculator, we have to use the shift button and then the sine, cosine, or tangent key to get the inverse. So back to our question. We want to find x. We want to find the angle measure. Round your answer to the nearest tenth of a degree. So if I'm finding x, I'm looking and I'm saying I have the opposite and the adjacent sine. So I'm going to say that the tangent of x equals the opposite over the adjacent. So they're going to tell you that x is equal to the inverse tangent or arc tangent of 28 over 23. Well, on our calculator, we're doing this, the inverse tangent of 28 over 23. Now, on some calculators, you need the parentheses around them. On the Casio, if you're using the fraction button, you don't need the parentheses. But on Texas Instrument calculators, most of the time you do need the parentheses. So it's kind of up to you. You have to check to see which way your calculator works. Best case, if you're not sure, put the parentheses. It doesn't hurt to have them there. On the Casio, you don't really need them. So we are going to do shift tangent to get the inverse tangent or arc tangent of 28 23rds. And on the Casio, you have to use the fraction button. If you use division, then you really do need the parentheses. But if you use the fraction button, you don't have to have it there. On my calculator, I'm ending up with 50.599. We're rounding to the nearest tenth, so we would say 50.6 degrees, going to be my answer. So number 8, same kind of thing. I'm finding the measure of the angle, x. I have the opposite and the adjacent side. So again, I'm going to use tangent. The tangent of x equals the opposite, which is 16, over the adjacent 20, so 16/20. So if I'm going to solve this, I'm doing the inverse tangent, or arc tangent, of 16/20. So again, shift tangent of 16/20, and I get 38.659. So rounding that off, I would say 38.7 degrees. So number 9, looking at that one. This time when I look at it, I'm solving for x. I have the opposite and the hypotenuse. So if we have the opposite and the hypotenuse, we want to use the sine. The sine of x equals the opposite side, which is 15, over the hypotenuse, which is 18. And so if I'm going to solve this for x, I have to do the inverse sine or arc sine of 15/18. Oops, I should probably write that the right way. X is equal to the inverse sine of 15/18. So inverse shift sine of 15/18 gives me 56.442, so 56 what I'm writing? 56.4 degrees, going to be my answer for how big that angle is.